Okay, good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam. And some strong words, Sam, some strong words from Ruben Amorim at the end of that game today. 3 wins now in 11, I think it is.
It's what you want, isn't it, when you're a Man United fan or player?
You don't want to hear that he thinks it's the worst team in Manchester United's history.
But do you think partly sometimes they
That
say
is
this?
strong, isn't it?
But yes, it is. But equally, if
First things first, is he wrong?
no, but also,
God, Lord.
but also, by saying that, he's now automatically the hero when they turn it around. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's one of those, isn't it, where if he says, "Oh, actually, do you know what? This team is great," then it's less about what he does. Where it's like saying, "I'm working with the worst team in history."
Yeah. The guys are saying there's a small echo on your mic, Sam. Could you just have a check to see if you've got anything on mute, or if there's any settings that need to be played with at all?
No,
No?
I can turn the mic down.
Well, I can turn the mic down a little bit as well. Let's go, if I do that a little bit. How's that?
There's nothing.
It says you're like a robot.
There's nothing untowards about my mic. Everything looks peachy.
All right, what about if I turn it off and turn it on again? There we go. If you talk, the guys will tell us
Hello, everybody.
whether that is still echoey or whether that is that's off. You only the little mute button, have you? Because the little mute button is often the one that gets talked. Oh, there goes. God,
This is because you made me. There's nothing wrong with my mic.
Well, the guys are saying it's a little bit better. Some are saying it's the same. Is it bearable, guys, or is it not? George is saying it's fine now. It's fine now. It's good enough. All right. Well, let's see if it's not. Then we should really get in here a few minutes before and test all this, shouldn't we? Not rather than just coming straight on the stream. First things first. As well as Manchester United being the worst version of themselves in their history, we should say that you are.
I've got something in my hair now.
Something in your hair, that's another good start. But you're also rocking the tea and the chocolate tonight. Such has been this weekend's worth of football.
Sometimes
Tea and chocolate is required.
Lee, sometimes when people have bad weeks, they turn to, I don't know, alcohol, hardcore drugs. Not me. I've got a massive bar of chocolate.
You've got the massive bar of chocolate.
And a big old cup of tea.
Good. Yeah, very good. Right, keep talking. I'm going to sort this microphone out before we get going.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to talk if my mic's terrible. Because then people will say my mic's terrible. Can't work out what's wrong with it because I haven't muted it.
There's something wrong with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, because this is the one that's working, and we've got to somehow hold this here so that we can both talk into it.
Well, we're not going to be able to do that for an hour and a half.
Well, we're not, but your mic isn't working, so...
But we can't do that for an hour and a half. Why don't we pause a second, come back?
All right, we'll come back, guys. We're going to fix this microphone issue. This one's working all right, isn't it? This one's probably quite good. And then we'll come back in just a sec.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Right, guys, let's try that again. B's in the chat. She's saying, has the stream started? It has, B. We've had a little bit of a hiccup with the microphones, though. But I don't know why I'm talking. You need to talk. And then the guys will tell us whether it's back on and working. If not, we've basically, what we've done is turn the mic off and turn it on again.
Turned it back on again. So we'll see whether that makes any difference.
That is the fix, isn't it? That is the fix of everything. Turn it off, turn it on again.
That's usually the fix, isn't it? Because nothing's changed on it since our last bit of content. So I don't really understand.
Yeah, and it all seems to be on and working okay, doesn't it? So who knows?
Just have to wait for them to say whether it's working.
Who knows, guys? We're going to get on with it, and then if it's really unbearable, we will just we'll put this. I'll just hold it for the whole stream or something. The guys with thumbs up sounds better, sounds good. There we go.
We literally did I just unplugged it.
This is how you fix anything technically, guys. You turn it off and turn it on again. Sometimes it works. That is the fix. Guys, thank you very much for bearing with this.
Should we start again?
Because that was so shit, I'm going to start again with the intro so that when I do the podcasters haven't got to listen to all that crap. Thank you, YouTubers, for sticking with us, but podcasters, you won't hear a thing of this. Cut to it. Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam. For the podcast listeners, we've just sorted out some microphone issues, so you won't have heard the last 10 minutes of guff and waffle the YouTubers have had to put up with. Your microphone is presumably all right now?
I think so. I'm going to eat some chocolate.
You're going to eat some chocolate. Well, one of the things that we did discuss as we were talking about the microphones being crap was, one... Is this the worst Manchester United side in history?
I think we said yes.
And I think we agreed. And I think you guys in the chat were saying, yeah, it's not looking too good. And secondly, you are needing both tea and chocolate to get through tonight's live stream. Is the chocolate being dipped in tea is what people want to know.
It will be. There was a point this afternoon where I said, I'm not streaming tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This almost didn't happen, guys, I can tell you.
And... I've calmed down enough that I'm here. I tell you what, it's a very good job that we weren't the 4:30 game because I think there's a chance I would have just actually stopped and not come in.
Richard Loman's in the chat. He says, can we switch West Ham on and off again to get them going?
Can we switch Spurs on and off? Can we turn injuries on and off?
There'll be a few Man United fans saying, can we switch Onana on and off again, by the way? Because just
today, why was he so bad?
Just when it looked like, okay, well, 2-1's not a great position to be in at home. And then he goes and fluffs his lines. So that was a really bad mistake by Onana. A really bad mistake. But lots to discuss, guys. Lots to discuss. And one of the key things that I was thinking coming into this live stream was just how many assets this week performed that I've got my eye on. Like normally I'm going into these live streams thinking, right, I've watched a weekend's worth of football. I've got my eye on 1 or 2. I think there's about 4 or 5 that are like properly on my radar.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah. And some of them are like quite differential right now. So I haven't ruled out the wild card for next week.
What?
I haven't ruled it out because,
it's very early, Lee.
Well, yes, and when I look at the core of my team,
I don't know why I looked at my watch.
It doesn't.
Tell me what Gameweek it is. It's very early.
10 past 9. It's very early to do a wild card. I don't think I'm going to. But as we go through the live stream,
how many transfers you got?
Well, I've got one. I've only got one, right? But as we go through the live stream, I'm gonna. There's a few that I want. Like Cliver, I think he's looking like amazing value, especially with Evan Nilsson and others injured at Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are amazing. Like Bournemouth are brilliant at the weekend. Then I look at Jean-Philippe Mateta. We're going to talk about him. Then I think about I've only got 2 Liverpool and I'd like 3. I'd like to get off the double Arsenal defence. That's something I'd like to fix. So there's a few different things that I'd want to fix in my team, and there's quite a few differential assets that I'd quite like to bring in. But I'm probably not. I'm like 90-10, like not going to do it. But it's just there in the back of my mind is could it be a good opportunity to get on a few differentials before they come mainstream? Because there's a few that are going to become mainstream pretty quickly, I think.
I'm not a wild card and I'm nowhere near that.
No, I don't think I am either. But lots to discuss. Let's say hello to a few people. Adam Stevo is in. He just says Foden with a winky smiley. Adam, if you had Foden, well done, mate. Well done. If you've got him in over the last couple of weeks.
I'll tell you what, though. I do feel so
well
sorry
done.
for Gianni.
Very good indeed.
When did you get off him last week? And in that time, he's like absolutely banged.
I do feel for Gianni, yeah, because Gianni had him for a few weeks before the 2 hauls.
Yes.
Got nothing.
Both.
And then sold. And then, he's just missed the 2 hauls. So it's bad timing. It can happen. It definitely can happen. Charlie King, hello, mate. He's saying, praying Palmer doesn't turn up. It must have somebody decent on his bench. Oh, bench Clivert. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Charlie. Well, we don't know, right? But some of the press conferences in the news leading up to the Gameweek 22 deadline was suggesting that maybe Lavia and Enzo and Palmer and a few others hadn't trained or trained fully. So there's definitely a chance that he doesn't play, Palmer, and still flagged in the game, by the way.
Oh yeah, but that'd be
It could be
a bit screwed if he don't.
He could be. B, as I mentioned before, is in. Hey B, I'm here for the Spurs therapy. She says.
I'm not sure you're going to get much out of me, B. To be honest.
B, get your tea, get your chocolate to dunk in your tea. This is what we need to get over. This
chocolate is a little bit.
What?
I should have. So, okay, this is another weird quirk you're going to learn about me now. I don't like my chocolate straight out of the fridge. I like it a little bit. But this has been out the fridge. This has been out the fridge for too long. So when I dunk it, I'm worried it's going to
melt into the tea.
Yeah.
Bad times.
And I don't want, that'll be clipped, won't it? If I dunk my
melt
chocolate,
away like the United defence.
And then but if I dunk my chocolate in the tea and then it falls in, there's going to be carnage on this stream, isn't it?
That will be memed. It will be memed.
Exactly.
Let's have the guys are saying I've missed super chats. I'm pretty sure I did amidst all of that nonsense microphone crap earlier. Let's see. Ken's Bromsgrove. Thank you, Ken's, for the super chat. Evening, both. Hello, mate. Felt like a massive weekend for the league at both ends. It did, and if you haven't realised from the smug look on my face, I'm delighted with that win for Liverpool at the weekend. It was huge at the top of the league. Forest doing their bit as well and winning, but a really, really big win for Liverpool in the context of the narrative that's going on around Liverpool at the moment.
I think while we're talking about this, though, we should just stop, because I think you deserve, or you should, publicly apologise.
For what?
To Darwin Núñez. I think he owes...
This is the guys in the Slack were just saying, oh, there you go, Núñez, Lee, you keep slagging him off. I'm like...
I think you should give him a public apology. Look down the camera.
No,
and apologise to Darwin for not believing
It still doesn't make him a good player, Sam. It still doesn't mean I rate him, but...
Well, single-handedly winning you the league.
But I am...
I'm
dead chuffed for him. We'll talk about our game in a bit, right? Because George is in, and we've got to talk about Brentford versus Liverpool, because it could have been different, right? Could have been very different. It's a big Damsgaard chance, big Damsgaard chance first half. If that goes in,
chance as well, wasn't
there was a Visser chance. Yeah, it was a chance, but we had chances as well, right? 37 shots we had.
You've got to take your chances, as Martin Yole would have said.
In Premier League history since Opta started doing Opta things.
Good job you had Darwin Núñez, wasn't
right?
it? Because you can't count on some Egyptian.
Unreal.
You've got to count on the Darwin.
Well, I'm going to build the narrative for why Salah was a little bit unlucky in this game in a bit, but we'll talk about that later on. Ken's is also saying the cherries are flying. They certainly are, mate. Everton with a big win. Núñez the hero this week. Yep, doesn't mean you should bring him in for the double game weekends, but yes, very happy to have Darwin Núñez. In fact, I wanted to put him on the thumbnail just for George, really, more than anything. But
I think George told you not to, though, didn't he? In the Slack, I'm sure he tagged you in a. If I see Darwin on the thumbnail, I'm gonna go mad.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, it's entirely possible. So thank you, Kens, for the super chat. I did miss another one here. There was another one. The chat is a bit laggy. What's going on tonight? The chat's a bit laggy as well, isn't it?
It's injured like Spurs.
Yeah, should I refresh this page as well? Right, we're gonna refresh this page as well.
Oh, hang on a minute.
No.
When you refresh it, sometimes it goes all wrong.
Well, no, I did it last week and it was fine. Something's a bit. There's some gremlins in here tonight. I don't know what's going on. How do I refresh? Oh, I have to hit that little refresh button. There we go. Let's see if that works.
Oh God.
It might not.
Worried. What's going to happen now? The whole stream's probably crashed.
I doubt it. It'll just maybe just pause for a minute. Here we go. We're back. Here we go. We're back. And let's see if that's a bit. Yeah, we go. That should be better. That should be better. This is the. What
you don't get this anywhere else.
What does your mate Jules say? This is the talent planning and vision that one comes to expect from watching an FPL Family live stream. The one thing that has done is deleted some of the super chats. So if I didn't get to your super chat, I apologise. I'll go back and if I can answer those a bit later on. The Raven effect is in. George is here. Christopher Cox. Chelsea are your biggest title challenges. Yeah, it's kind of looking like it at the minute. Although, come on, Forest did win again. They did win again.
Unquite fair on Forest. I think Forest. Yeah,
they're definitely up there, aren't they? They're definitely up there. Phil B is in. He's saying Salah blank in 2 weeks running. Yeah, to the point that you just made, Sam. Yeah, that is now 2 blanks in a row for the Egyptian King after week after week after week of double-digit haul.
It's time to move from Salah to Haaland.
Well, sure, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Not with the double game week coming up, obviously. But let's see. Sean is in. Hey, Sean, a member here of the FPL Family YouTube channel. So very nice to see you, Sean. As is John Tyner. I'm out the cup since last week. Out of the Man United Cup as well now. So, yeah, anybody still in the FPL Cup?
No.
You still in it? No, I was out a couple of weeks ago.
I might be still in the Spurs one. I was still in the Spurs one before.
Oh, okay, all right.
But, you know.
And Gavin Gould just says, worst United goalkeeper ever. Yeah, ever.
Ooh, ever?
Well, this narrative,
Banana.
it keeps following Manchester United around, Sam. Let's get on with some of these games and maybe...
Surely you've had worse goalkeepers.
I don't know about
No,
that.
it's a
I don't
big
know about
mistake, but he has, in other games this season, he's actually played really well. So I think it's... as a whole, it's not great at the moment, but I'm not sure you can single-handedly blame it on the goalie.
I don't know about that. Do you want to do that game first? Want to do Man U 1, Brighton 3? This is a game
we didn't watch it.
We didn't watch, did we? Because it was on at the same time as Spurs, and obviously Spurs was on the TV here in the UK. But a quick word on it then, because, you know, United, really good performance against Liverpool. Turning a corner. We're looking at, the Ahmad hat-trick in midweek and all of that. So it's all the narrative is really good around United. Although, I have to say, coming out of that Southampton game, it papered over the cracks, did you not think, that Ahmad hat-trick? Because United were not good for 80 minutes, and then Ahmad was just a superstar for 10 minutes.
Yeah, really annoyed me, because Az had him, didn't he? And I was not happy when we were trying to record a podcast at that point. But Southampton were unlucky. Like, Diblin goes off with an injury that then kept him out of today, and Ahmad had 3 moments, and... yeah, I mean, I think it was a flattering scoreline, the one against Southampton. And I think Southampton, sadly, because of where they were, when the first United goal was scored, they just lost their heads.
And with each of the 3, and I don't want, I want to get to Gameweek 22 rather than 21, but it is useful in the context of Man U, is that each of those Ahmad goals, you can point to some pretty big lapses in defensive concentration. Carl Walker-Peters got done for the first 2, and then Harwood Bellis, that is the biggest brain fart we've had all season, isn't it?
Just has a moment.
And I thought, if you had Ahmad in game week 21 and you got the hat trick, 20 points, well done, fair play, absolutely brilliant. But I didn't come out of that game thinking I must go and invest in them at home to Brighton for this game week, and so it proved. Brighton, despite it could have been more, right? I don't know if you've seen the João Pedro goal that got cancelled out by VAR. Yeah. What a well taken goal that is for João Pedro, by the way. So I was really annoyed that didn't go in because I got him. But Minter, I did play him. Yeah, I did play him. So I was a bit annoyed by that, because he would have been a decent differential. But, okay, Ruta gets the 3rd goal because of another O'Brien, another Onana mess-up. But Minter and Matoma combining for the first 2 goals, they just couldn't deal with them, could they, from what I could say?
No.
From what I could see.
But Brighton are also a bit Jekyll and Hyde, though, because some weeks I watch, and like we said, we haven't watched this one, but some weeks I watch Brighton and I'm like, right, okay, I really want to invest there, but... the likes of Matoma and Minter haven't been consistently performing in those midfield spots. You've already spoken about Cliver briefly on this stream tonight. And there's been an Ahmad, it was in midweek, and there's been a significant number of cheap midfielders that have actually been performing really, really well. So Minter and Matoma haven't really been in that conversation, but then in part today it was defensive errors from Manchester United again, letting them in, but they did do well with those goals. They were well taken goals. It's really difficult. Bruno obviously gets a penalty today. We know that he's got that. He can do that, and he has that in his locker. So, of course, that's a reason for getting him. Ahmad was the star in midweek, but not today. I just find Manchester United, and a bit Brighton, to be honest, so difficult to invest in.
If you had João Pedro, you got João Pedro?
No.
If you had him, what would you do? Because I'm like this with him. The reason I might not sell him next week is because it's Everton at home, although Everton just had a good result. But then after that, Forest away, Chelsea, all right, Southampton, Bournemouth and Fulham, all right, at home, but not easy games. It's the 3rd game in a row where he's not had a shot on target, João Pedro.
Well, apart from the goal that got ruled out.
But therefore doesn't count
doesn't
count as a shot.
Well, that's what I mean. So, but it's difficult though, isn't it? Because realistically, if you're looking at João Pedro replacements, you've got to look quite a long way up, because I don't think, Jimenez hasn't really been what I think you'd want to do in order to move there. Delap, nothing from him today. Obviously could have done, it was a hard fixture against Man City, but nonetheless, nothing for him. I think the standout candidates are significantly more expensive than João Pedro. So if you're going to have to move quite a lot of budget around in order to upgrade João Pedro, which kind of makes me think I'll probably just stick with him.
I'm not sure. I've got some budget in the bank and I want to spend it. And I think it's going to be on João Pedro to either Gakpo or Mateta. That's what I'm thinking. I want to talk about Mateta in a minute because I think he's definitely one to have a look at. But Gakpo, of course, with the double game week, going to get some minutes, you'd think, right? And Liverpool's fixtures, as you can see there on the ticker, right at the top. So, yeah, João Pedro definitely one that I'm looking at to get out. And also Welbeck back as well, as Aniket quite rightly says in the chat. So, yeah, I'm not as positive about João Pedro as you are. I get it. He starts, he takes pens, he's cheap, he's all that. So he's not a bad pick. I get it, but
it's not that I feel positive, but I just also think that, okay, at the moment you've genuinely got an easy bench option in those difficult fixtures of your front eight. Whereas if you then bring in Mateta,
remember I've still got Enzo in midfield. He's quite an easy.
He's a far bigger problem to fix than João Pedro.
I wouldn't call him a problem, but you're talking about having a bench option. Well, Enzo could be my bench option, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, but wouldn't you rather have João Pedro as your bench option than Enzo? Like I'd rather have João Pedro on the bench than Enzo to come on.
No, I don't think so.
Interesting.
I just think there's starting to be a few really good forward options emerging. So I don't think I want somebody like João Pedro in there. Let's move on from United and Brighton. Let's talk about... let's do Ipswich 0, Manchester City 6. I have to say, after the first couple of goals went in, and if you've got Foden, well done. If you've, for whatever reason, still got Haaland, congrats. 3 assists for De Bruyne. I kind of just tuned out after 2-0 because it was like Ipswich was so... They just looked like they'd got to the end of their real busy Christmas period, as most teams have, and just starting to feel the heat a little bit. Delap never really got in the game. Hutchinson never really got in the game. And City just did what City did. Now, I said in the Slack about, a City now back on radar a little bit, and there was a couple of the guys in there were just like, nah, they're never going to catch you. They're miles behind. I said, well, that might be the case, but we shouldn't overlook them in FPL because maybe they're going to play with a bit of freedom, maybe, that they haven't played with before. Maybe the pressure's off and they'll start... expressing themselves like they have today. 6-0 away Ipswich, that's a bit of a statement result for me.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I don't think so. I think they'll just play till the end of the season. I think the key thing for them is they've got to finish in the top 4. Otherwise, they're embarrassed. They know that they can't win the league. They're not in the title race. It's literally just, look, let's finish in the top 4, get the season over and done with as quickly as possible, concentrate on the cups that we're still in, i.e. the Champions League and the FA Cup, and just... Like the league is just let's make sure that we do enough to finish in the top 4.
And as you guys in the chat are quite rightly saying, when you look at some of the fixtures for City, they are bottom of the ticker right now. Chelsea at home in 23, not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination.
But Chelsea's defence is not great.
Yes, I agree. But then Arsenal away in 24 in the double game week.
Great either.
Then it's Newcastle and Liverpool and Spurs and Forest, right? So they've got to play pretty much all of those in and around them. So I think we'll know come the end of game week 28 whether City are going to get, going to finish where they want to be. But it's that you guys in the chat are right? I need to shut up. That run of fixtures does not mean we're going on to any City, right? I wouldn't have thought.
No, I mean, I think the problem is with them as well that they're expensive, right? So you're going to have to sell players that have got decent fixtures in order to bring in players that don't have decent fixtures, which doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah, do you think bringing in Foden's a bit chasing points now? Have we sort of missed it, or is he?
Foden, Chelsea don't keep clean sheets, nor are Arsenal at the moment. Spurs definitely aren't. Forest conceded 2 today. You can easily concede. Newcastle conceded 4 at the weekend. So I'm not saying that they won't score.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Foden and Haaland and all those guys won't get goals. I'm just saying that I think there's probably better picks elsewhere, probably for less money, with nicer fixtures where they're more likely to haul.
Okay.
But if you've got Foden, I'd be tempted to hold, definitely for the Chelsea game.
Chelsea at home, I'd hold him for that, yeah, I think so. Let's talk about our game then. Let's talk about Brentford 0, Liverpool 2. As I said before at the beginning of the show, it was a really, 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 really important win for Liverpool, Really important, because there was just starting to be a bit of a narrative about, okay, we lost to Spurs in the Cup, you drop points against Man United, there's a couple of Nottingham Forest. Maybe we expected you to win there, and we got rescued a 1-1, didn't we? And coming up into the sort of 86th, 87th, 89th minute in this game, I did think that if we go 0-0 here, again, it wouldn't have been a terrible result. Right, going to the GTAC and getting a draw is not a terrible result, but it still would have just added to that building narrative that I don't like and would have started to affect the team. So for Darwin to come up with 2 goals out of absolutely nowhere in a couple of minutes, I was just delighted. I was so happy. This is probably, I think, and I don't want to curse it, but if we do go on to win the league this season, Liverpool fans will look back at Brentford away in Gameweek 22 and say that was one of the key points, one of the key wins of the season. Because a bit like, do you remember when Núñez come on and got 2 goals against Newcastle? And we were down to 10 men.
When? And
he come on, this was a couple of seasons ago at St James's Park. And that was a real big win. And we ended up winning that game 2-1. This is as important as that, I think. I'm chuffed that it's him, right? I'm honestly, he is a good character. He's great on social media. I still don't think he works hard enough. And I still don't think he's good enough for this team. But as I was saying in the Slack to George, I was sort of talking to George about this game, obviously, in the Slack. George is our resident Brentford fan. In the Slack, went to the game. And he and I were having the conversation. And I said, he's perfect as an impact sub, Núñez. He's perfect for impact sub. You can't start him. He doesn't work hard enough. But to come on and be that kind of, look where he was for the goal. He's just loitering in the box, isn't he? And even on the second goal, he's kind of like, he's getting, just in the right areas. He does seem to position himself quite well when the player's unfolding around him. But when we need to work to get the ball back and break the press and all that, he doesn't do any of that.
No.
And you notice that what I liked about, and again, I don't want to go on too much about Liverpool because I don't want to come across too smug, but it was a really, really important win. And I think going into now the next few for Liverpool, which is Ipswich at home, double game week, Wolves at home, you got to have 3 of them, I think. You got to have 3 Liverpool for this run now. And I noticed also with Trent, right? What I like about Slot's approach, and I've noticed this in recent weeks, he will risk losing a game to win a game. And they said that on Match of the Day, and I liked it. He will risk losing a game to win a game. So all of a sudden, you'll find Trent popping up in like the middle of the park in an 8 or a 10, right? As we pushed on to try and win this game. And that's what I liked about it, right? Was that he went out to win this game. He wasn't accepting of the fact that it was a 0-0. He went out to win it. And Darwin just was in the right place at the right time. That's enough about Liverpool from me. What did you make of the performance of the likes of Mo Salah? Second blank in a row, as you mentioned before. Any issues with that?
I said to you on Saturday morning that Mo Salah wasn't even in my thought for the captaincy this week. And he genuinely, that's not me being, that wasn't me trying to wind you up or anything like that.
Why was that?
He just genuinely wasn't, because when I looked at my team, and I made a stupid decision with my captain, which I'll talk through later, it was really only between Chris Wood and Isak. They were the only 2 that I really considered, because Isak and Wood both had the form. Wood also had a delightful looking fixture on paper against Southampton at home.
Yeah.
Isak had also a home fixture. I felt that Brentford away was a difficult fixture. I thought you could score goals, but I thought Brentford would be difficult. I thought they would provide
without a doubt,
much more of an opposition than, say, Southampton were going to Forest. And I also felt that in this game, I wasn't sure it would be Salah. I just felt like Brentford are the sort of team that would know that Salah was going to be a key player for you and would target him and be like, right, we've got to manage them. And that's why I kind of felt like Diaz or whoever played alongside Salah might just be the one that got a bit more joy.
Yeah. And Diaz did get some joy. He was top for XG underachievers, by the way, according to the Scout members area with 0.84.
Yeah, he had a very big miss.
Bit unlucky not to get some points. And Gakpo as well, 0.47 as well. He was 4th for XG underachievers.
But that's kind of what I mean. Like, I was in my head, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting Brentford, the defence, to really focus on doing a job on Salah, keeping him quiet, because that's kind of what Spurs did in the League Cup semi-final when you came to us is Jed Spence just really focused on dealing with him, and then it was, could one of the other players on the pitch stand up and do something? And so in my head I was thinking probably Salah's going to be the one that Brentford try and keep quiet.
Do you think this is going to be a trend then in the context of FPL? You know, we've all been captaining Salah just blindly for weeks, haven't we, until sort of last couple of weeks?
Yes.
A team's starting to figure out, well, if we double up on Mo and stop him as a threat, okay, the Liverpool have got other threats, but he is the key threat, so let's double up on him.
So look, in the last 2 weeks, I haven't captained Salah because I felt like there was an opportunity to go against because of the type of opposition that you were coming up against. Both of those times, I felt like Brentford and Nottingham Forest were likely
You could take it on.
to take on to do a deal, to try and do a deal with on Salah and keep him quiet. When I look at your fixtures coming up, Ipswich, I don't think they have the defensive capabilities to do that.
Yeah, you're not taking him on there.
So next week, I'm not likely to go against the Salah captaincy.
Or the 2 weeks subsequent.
Or the week after, because it's the double.
Yeah.
So I think there's risks and there's reward. And I looked at the Brentford defence and thought, like with the Forest defence the week before, there's personnel in that team that if they're told, go and do a job and keep him quiet, might just open up the opportunities for the others around them. The teams that you have in the next 2 game weeks, 3 matches, I just don't think have
He's everyone's captain for the next 3 weeks, isn't he? 3 game weeks?
I think, 2, because of the double. So, obviously...
Wolves at home in... Let's have a look at these fixtures.
What, in 25?
25. Wolves at home, yeah. What else?
Who
what else is there?
What else is going on in Wolves? Because Wolves do have defenders that could be tasked with...
Arsenal have got Leicester. Villa have got Ipswich at home.
Where is Southampton?
Palmer's at Brighton.
Where's Southampton?
We're just targeting Southampton. They got Bournemouth.
Clivert.
You're not taking Mo on Wolves at home, though,
you're
are
not.
you?
But you know, I think there's certain fixtures, and I just felt that Brentford might, and that's why for me it wasn't a conversation. Now, I screwed myself over because, well, there was multiple things going on in my head this weekend, and I was on Chris Wood all week, and then I changed my mind right at the last minute because I brought in another Forest attacker, and I didn't want to go really heavy on Forest attack, and then I moved it to Isak, and it was only after the deadline passed that I realised that Isak was the lunchtime kickoff, and I was like, and I said to you, didn't I? We were out and about, and I was like, I
never back the lunchtime kickoff.
I never backed the lunchtime kickoff. I didn't. It was only because you wound me up. We were standing in a toy shop with the kids, and you went, "Oh, Isak's benched," and I went, "What?"
No.
And then I thought, and then I looked at you, and then you were like, "I'm joking. I'm just winding you up," and I was like, "Oh," and then I thought in my head,
why has he said that?
Why has he said that?
Yeah.
And then I looked at my phone and was like, bugger, it's the lunchtime kick. And I hate that. I was so cross with myself after I'd done it. But my point is that this week I felt that there were 2 better options. Actually, only one of them in the end was a better option.
So if you were going to go for 3 Liverpool players for this run then, and many will be looking at game week 24 there, obviously with the double game week.
Yeah.
Mo's in there for more or less everyone listening to this live stream.
Should be.
Who are the other 2?
Well, I've got 2.
Think about Slot as well in your answer.
No. So Slot for me...
You're not going assistant manager chip.
For me, Slot is... Even if I wasn't trebled up, Slot is not even a conversation for me.
Not considering it at all.
No. If I was going to go with an assistant manager chip on a manager, I'd go Moyes. Oh, and I don't fancy that either. Okay. So I think that there are multiple things to consider here, right? And I wrote an article that's on the Scout website. You can go on the Scout website and search for it. If you just search for my name, it'll pop up. On when I'm going to play my assistant manager chip. And the reason I wouldn't consider Slot now is, 1, because you get no table bonus at all. So best case scenario, you get 4 wins.
Just explain what table bonus is for those, because this is quite new to me as well. I'd like to know what table bonus is.
So the table bonus is the additional points that you get if you beat or draw with somebody 5 or more places above you in the league.
So Slot ain't getting any.
So for Slot, you get nothing there. So if he wins these 4 games, he gets 6 points per game, right? So 6, 12, 18, 20.
6 points for a win. Okay.
Yes, it's 24 points.
Potentially.
For the wins. And then for every goal that he scores, his team score, there's a further 2 points plus the clean sheet 2 points as well. So in theory, you could get a haul out of him. But my personal view is that over that 4-game period, you could get more than that in points out of a Jota, a Diaz, a Gakpo, whoever it is, even if they don't start every game. you can still get more.
That table bonus is really powerful in the Asman chip, isn't it?
It's the most important thing because slot getting a win is 6 points. If you went for Spurs, for example, and they played a team 5 places above them and only got a draw, you would get more points than slot winning a game.
Interesting. Okay.
So you don't have to pick. So, for me, that's why picking somebody in the bottom half of the table with a run of fixtures. So there's a beautiful run of fixtures in 31 to 33.
That's what Phil B saying in the chat. He's saying, yeah.
So
there's a Glasner. Okay.
So there's a great one for him then, where at the moment, if the table is as it is, he would get the table bonus 3 times across those 3 game matches. So if he wins them all, he's getting 10 points. He gets 6 points for the win plus a further 10 points in table bonus. So suddenly that's 16
for
points
a win.
For a win. Plus you have to score in order to get the win. So at least 2 more points. And if it's a 1-0 win, you get 2 more for the draw. That's 20 because you're keeping a clean sheet as well, potentially. So suddenly you're looking, you do that 3 times, you're 60 points. That's way more than slot's going to get you. Because even if Liverpool's have to score a lot of goals over that match. So for me, slot's not in the conversation.
I can see why some might, though. It's a double game week. He's got 4 games. I mean, 24 points potentially up for grabs and then goals. And it's not to be sniffed at, but I do agree with you. The table bonus is a bit of a...
This chip has got so much potential to be enormous with the returns.
We've said it all along, right? And we've probably not discussed it as much as maybe we should have on these live streams, but we are coming up to game week 24 when it will be live and you can play it, right? And there'll be tons of FPL managers. Guys, expect in game week 24, 25 and 26 to have red arrows, right? Because there'll be a wave of casual managers that go, what's this? Bang. And they just play it. And they'll all get, let's say they'll get 20 points out of it. But I'm with you and have been, I think, since I saw the rules around the chip, is I'll let that go. And I'll play it when I think it's right. And I think the table bonus, that extra 10 points for beating a team above you, is really big. Really big.
And I think the thing for me is that the other thing you can do, if you want to, is you can move the chip around. So if you wanted, the only way I'd consider playing it on slot right now is to play it on slot for 24 and then move it for 25 and 26 onto another manager who benefits from the table bonus.
But that costs you a transfer.
But it's either going to use your transfer or it's going to cost you -4. Okay. So you have to consider the value there. But I'm already trebled up on Liverpool. I've got Salah, I've got Diaz, I've got Trent.
So you think they're the best 3? If you had a clean slate now?
No, I don't know. I'm really struggling, to be honest, with Liverpool because...
Salah and Trent, no? Yeah, must be. I would have thought so. I think if you ask me, I think it'd be them 3. I think it'd be them 3. There's a bit of uncertainty about Jota's injury.
Don't know, to be honestly. But I'm at a point where I have... So I feel a little bit like I always do with Pep going into a double game week.
Right.
I have bought 3 tickets. Well, 2 of them feel like they're to a lottery. One of them feels like it's to a, first class performance sitting in a box because I got Salah. The other 2 feel like I bought tickets to a lottery. And I just got to hope that across that double game week, they come off. My concern here with this double, and I know that you said the other day, I think it was on our Ohana podcast, that you think it's great because, you've got these fixtures in the middle. I think that is terrible to have fixtures in the middle. I hate that.
Between the 2 games of the double game week, we've got 2 cup games.
That can happen.
Yeah, 100%.
You've got a massive game against Spurs, and it's massive. What are we even going to do? But we're a goal down. No, sorry, we're a goal up.
I tell you can't get injured in either of those cup games, though.
Slot?
On a slot.
Well, yeah, no, he can't. But I'm not selling one of my players to get him.
No, fair play. Fair play.
So I think probably the Plymouth game, if I see Diaz lining up against Plymouth, I'm getting upset with Arnie Slot.
Yeah, no doubt he rests a bunch
I want to see Darwin playing against Plymouth.
Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd hope so. Anyway, enough about Liverpool, although it is worthy of conversation because...
Who have you got?
Well, I've got Trent and Salah right now, that's it.
What are you going to do?
That's it. I don't know yet, because when we come to talk about my team, it's not easy for me to go anywhere.
Well, not if you want to go João Pedro up. You can't afford to get...
Well, I could go to Gakpo.
Oh, I see.
I could get to Gakpo. I don't think I'm going to get to either
Darwin?
Diaz or not going to Darwin. I don't think I could get... he'll get minutes, right? Over those 2 in the double game week. He will get minutes.
Szoboszlai? McAllister?
No, we're just throwing names out now. The other one that I would consider is, obviously, if you've got the money, go for the defence.
What? Double up?
Yeah, maybe.
Oof.
Virgil or Konate or maybe even Alisson, right? I don't mind it. But I think if you ask me who are my three likely to be, and I'm likely to have three, it will be Salah, Trent and Gakpo, I think. But that is because that is specific to my team. That's not me saying that I prefer Gakpo over Diaz. I think you could have either one and be very, very happy going into the run with either one.
Okay.
Either one. The only thing I will say is that last couple of weeks, Diaz has looked... He looks like
Very
he needs...
unlucky in this one.
Does look like he needs a rest. I'll give him that.
But he's not going to get one because Jota's out.
Because he's so high octane that we need to keep an eye on the Jota injury news, because if Jota's injury isn't too bad and he is coming back soon, then I would expect him to take some minutes off of Diaz.
Yeah, but I think across that double game week, Gakpo's getting some minutes taken off of him as well. Probably.
Maybe, but Gakpo is better at managing his fitness in game. Diaz is just like a Duracell bunny. He's like bang, 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 bang.
No,
He's all over the place.
I get that, but what I mean is, I think that Gakpo surely gets 70 minutes. First game, 70 minutes. The second, it loses
maybe.
20 minutes here and there.
Maybe.
Surely, but then, and Gakpo could miss out to Jota. You could go back to playing Jota Diaz. And it's such a minefield, which is why I said I've bought 2 tickets and I'm probably just going to stick with the 2 I've got.
Yeah.
But I will sell, as soon as you've doubled, I'll be selling Trent.
Okay. All right, that is enough about Liverpool. Brentford then. A bit unlucky not to get something from this game. Did you think it was a good performance? I think they defended. Thomas Frank came out in the post-match and said they defended very well.
Probably one of the best defensive performances I've seen from them, actually.
I think they did, because as much as we can reel out the 37-shot narrative, there was a lot of long shots.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wayward shots. There was a lot of low XG shots, right? So, Brentford did actually play pretty well. You know how much I love Brian Mbeumo. And when I said at the beginning of the show that I've got my eye on a few players, he's another one, right? So Palace away next week, the form that they're in, I wouldn't be rushing maybe to Brian after that. But at home to Spurs, and then West Ham, Leicester, Everton and Villa. Oh, we're all going to want a bit of Brian back in our lives, aren't we?
Yeah, but those fixtures come from
24 onwards is the Spurs game.
So, and then when's West Ham? 25?
25, yeah.
So, because this is another thing to consider, right, of course, is that we will know by that point whether it's Liverpool or Spurs that miss game week 29. So if Liverpool are missing game week 29, then a Diaz to Mbeumo, or if you're on Gakpo to Wissa, makes sense, right? Because you're then getting on Brentford for that nice run of fixtures that they have coming up, and you're also avoiding the Liverpool blank in game week 29, but you're also maintaining Salah. So I think Brentford will be popular. I just think a lot of people will probably wait, because the priority for a lot of managers is going to be working out what your Liverpool investment is going to look like, and potentially Everton, if you want to invest in Everton, what that's going to look like ahead of the double. And then you'll probably be looking at exit strategies for certain clubs, depending upon what happens in the second leg of the League Cups with Arsenal and Newcastle and Liverpool and Spurs.
Yeah, Brian Mbeumo top for shots, according to the Fantasy Football Scout
It's going to have a twist.
members area, with only 4 shots, by the way. So, Kluivert, Haaland, Mateta, Brooks, all of those guys in there with 3 shots. But Mbeumo top with 4, so maybe deserves something out of this game. I just like him. I just think he's so talismanic for them, and his route to points is better than anyone else in the league. He can score, he can assist, he takes pens, he takes set pieces. And with that run there, I mean, I don't know how I'd do it, though. I look at my team, I can't go Enzo to Mbeumo straight away. I haven't got quite enough money. And it would then price me out. I'd be using that money, that narrative about João Pedro to Gakpo or João Pedro to Mateta. I can't do that if I'm spending it on Brian.
No, but that's exactly what I mean. A lot of people will be thinking about Liverpool first. So you're probably going to be in a similar position to me. Like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, well, as soon as Liverpool played that double, I'm getting straight off Trent.
Yeah.
So, and then I've got loads of money to play with, and then Mbeumo's really easy.
He's going to be one I regret, Mbeumo. I'm going to be sitting here 3 weeks. Mark my word, bookmark this. I'm going to be sitting here in 3 weeks and not have got him, and he'll have 20 points out of 3 games somewhere, right? And I won't have got him because I'll be doing other crap. I'll be getting nonsense, and I'll have missed one of my favourite FPL players this season. Anyway, I will be going back for you, Brian. At some stage, we will dance again, my friend. Anything else that you want to say about Brentford?
No, I don't think so. I do think they were unlucky in this one, and I do think that was probably their best defensive performance that we've seen. I will invest back in Brentford, absolutely. It's just a case of waiting a few weeks because I've got other things that I want to do first.
All right, very good. A player that I've mentioned a couple of times, and he is high on my wish list, Sam. He is high on my wish list. Jean-Philippe Mateta. What a performance here at the West Ham Stadium. Palace now, that is like, 2 defeats in God knows how many games, like 12, 13 games or something. He's got them on an unbelievable run. And yes, I hear you before you come at me in the chat. There's a lot of draws in there. I understand that. But Mateta, at this stage last season, just started to get cooking, didn't he? He just started to get cooking. It's taken him maybe a little bit longer this season because he was playing in the Olympics, didn't have much of a pre-season. But my word, did he look like the main man at the weekend. And he takes the penalties. By the way, a bit lucky to score that penalty at the weekend, I thought. Wasn't a good penalty. Probably should have been saved by Flapianski. But still, scored the goal. And he took his first goal incredibly well. And the thing that really stood out for me was that when Nketiah gets subbed on, it's not for Mateta. It's now looking like
Eze and Sarr instead.
Eze and Sarr are the possible options to come off for Nketiah rather than a swap for Mateta. I think he's going to get the minutes, and I rate him very, very highly. I think he's a top player. And the kicker for me is that he's still only 5% owned. He's got form, he's got fixtures, and he's a differential. I want him like you wouldn't believe.
I've got an easy route to him.
Well, this was the question I was going to ask you, right? Because we'll discuss it when we get to the Spurs game. If the rumours are true about Dominic Solanke being out for longer than just this game, because the reports are that he's out for a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well, it's supposed to be a very serious knee injury. Apparently, he was in a lot of pain. Obviously, it's a massive week this week in terms of European football. So I'm going to do my utmost to do absolutely nothing until after Thursday.
Yeah.
But my plan this week is to go Solanke to Mateta. Because to be honest...
Oh, you're going to get him, are you?
Absolutely.
That annoys me. I didn't think you would because you got Sarr.
I haven't got Sarr. Sold Sarr this week.
Oh, you sold Sarr? Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
So I sold Sarr this week because he was flack. So basically, I had a bit of a nightmare. This is part of the reason the captaincy thing kind of went away from me with Isak and the early kickoff, is because I was so settled with my team. And I did all my content last week and I was really happy. And then on Friday afternoon, my whole team was flagged after the pressers. And I'd set my team up. Chris Wood was the captain. I knew what I was doing. I was very happy. Suddenly I've got flags on Sarr, flags on Diaz, flags on Palmer. Solanke, thankfully, I didn't know about Solanke until, because that didn't happen until Saturday morning. But I had 3 big flags and I knew I didn't have a bench to cover it because the players that I was, like, Vandenberg is my last sub. And I was just like, I don't want you playing against Liverpool.
Against Liverpool, yeah.
So I had to do something. So I thought, right, the best thing to do here is to get rid of Sarr because I haven't been loving the Sarr pick over the last few weeks. And I know he picked up an assist last week, but he's not exactly been setting the world on fire. So the best thing to do here is to get rid of Sarr. But then it left me without any Crystal Palace. And for those of you that regularly listen to the official pod, you'll know that I've become the Crystal Palace
cheerleader.
Yeah, God knows why, but I've seemed to have become a bit obsessed.
They're great. They're doing really well.
A bit obsessed with them at the moment. So that left me with no Palace. And so in my head, this week was the week where I wanted to look at Palace and work out what I was going to do with them. Now, I was slightly worried about how I was going to invest in Palace because I didn't have an easy route to Eze. Because although I've saved some money going from Sarr to Elanga, which is where I went, it's not enough to take anyone else apart from Diaz to Eze. And obviously I don't want to sell Diaz ahead of the Liverpool double. So when Solanke news breaks, I'm like, oh, hello. Well, he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. I think it's going to be more than 6 weeks, to be honest.
Looks a bad one for him, doesn't it?
Which, to be honest, it couldn't have come at a worse time because it's both the cup competitions and the league's gone to absolute rack and ruin this year. But both cup competitions, we're still, obviously, we're a match away from a final. Without Solanke, that's a nightmare. So it couldn't have come at a worse time. But in FPL, I'm looking at it going, well...
That's an easy move to Mateta.
This is a really easy move. Now,
over Gakpo?
Well, I've got Diaz.
Oh yeah, you got Diaz
So
already
it's
in
just
place.
such
yeah.
a straightforward thing.
Fair,
So
yeah,
the only thing that I'm thinking is,
that is an easy move, I think.
I think it is too. The only thing that puts me off a little bit, and it's not anything to do with that move, it's just I've got to wait, ideally, because Liverpool are playing.
Do you need to rush to Mateta this week?
What? Well, the thing is, I'm going to sell Solanke this week.
Brentford at home?
I'm not being funny, but I'm not going to keep 7.5 million player
No.
who's injured on the bench. That's just ridiculous. So somebody's got to be done this week. And I don't want to be... Mateta feels like the sort of player that, a bit like Chris Wood has been, that is just going to be a bandwagon now and people will move towards him. And the moving towards him will mean he rises in price. Solanke's not that heavily owned, so he won't fall that quickly, I wouldn't have thought, although I will keep an eye on it.
Adam's right in the chat. What else can I say to put you off Mateta? I was going to jump in ahead of you there and get him. But if you're getting him as well, that's annoying me, to be honest with you.
Well, I think you were going to get Gakpo.
No, I'd rather have Mateta, I think.
But then how are you travelling up on Liverpool?
I'll go somewhere else. I'll get another defender or something, right?
The double Liverpool defence.
I'm fine with it.
Mateta's,
I think he's about to come into a run here, Mateta.
I think having a front three that's Mateta, Isak and Wood is the way to go.
Yeah, and I've got the money to do it as well, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. I'm annoyed you're going there.
And Solanke frees up 0.2 million as well. So I'm actually a bit financially better off having Mateta.
Yeah. And actually, on the first Mateta goal, did you see who's up there alongside him? Mateta, Daniel Munoz. Here he is.
And I don't have him.
I think he's. Again, I benched him this week because I just had other really good defensive options to play. And actually, most of them come through, really, except for Gabriel, who I was always going to play.
Arsenal defence. That's another thing to deal with.
So I didn't play Munoz this week, but I'm happy to have him in my team going forward. That's a couple of clean sheets now since I've bought him. I've got one and benched the other. He looks fine to me. He looks like a really top player. He's got a double digit. It's a double digit haul waiting to happen, Munoz, with these fixtures coming up. He'll get one week. He definitely will.
You promised Harry a 13-pointer out of him.
I did off the bench a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago. West Ham, anything to say? Was it a red for Mavropanos? I think it was 2 yellows. The second one was a high foot when he knew it. He looked guilty when it happened.
I've got Fabianski. Actually, should have played him this week. He got more points than Raya.
Did you really? Well, there we go. That's perfect. Oh no. Would be a perfect segue if I didn't change the screen wrong. There we go. Perfect segue then, Sam, into Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 2. I've put in the title of this YouTube video about, is it time to ditch Arsenal double defence? It sounds, from what you're saying, as if it probably is. They kind of looked reasonably comfortable, didn't they? In this
some more chocolate.
For the podcasters listening, that rustling in the background that you can hear is Sam's chocolate, probably because we're edging nearer the Spurs.
I know what's going to happen. We're going to get through this one, and you're going to go from one side of North London to the other, and then I've got to sit through talk about Spurs.
Get the chocolate.
So I'm going back to Christmas time. So this is chocolate Christmas. Christmas chocolate.
The YouTubers are like, oh, Sam's here she goes with her chocolate in her tea, but the podcasters are like, why do you bloody rustling? Keep the rustling down.
I finished my tea.
So Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 2. Arsenal looking good value for the 2-0, but again dropping a 2-0 lead, and Arsenal Fan TV and Arsenal socials go absolutely crazy as usual. I don't know why they're going crazy for the last one. I mean, it's a handball, isn't it? I mean, it hits Havertz's hand and gets a massive deflection and goes in.
No, it's a
handball.
It's a handball.
And actually, after that, they then go on to have two really big chances. One that smacks the post, then Martinez saves it. Trossard then has a chance which he puts wide, and I'm thinking, how does he not score that?
Amazing saves right at the end of the game. And the thing is, I understand. If it was for Spurs, I'd be going mental. I'd be claiming it wasn't a handball, all of that, but it was. And if it goes against you the other way, you're absolutely going mad. Like if Villa score that goal, the Arsenal fans are up in arms if it doesn't go.
Yes.
So it's just one of those, right? I get it. As a Spurs fan, I'd be exactly the same if it was my team. You'd be the same if it was Liverpool. You'd want it to stand, but it's not. I am.
Are you on Raya and Timber?
Yes, and
it's the pain with which you said yes that suggests.
So I wanted to change it this week.
Yeah.
I wanted to fix it this week.
By doing what?
I wanted a new goalkeeper.
Raya to what? Sells?
That was my thought. That I'd go Raya to Sells. But in the end, so a little bit of insight for you. Kelly and I had a very, very long conversation on Friday afternoon because I saw the Ismail Assanu's break and was like, oh, she's got him as well. I'll let her know.
Right.
Then we had we backwards and forwards all afternoon via text trying to work out what we were going to do, which we then picked up on Saturday morning. She was going to a spa. She was like, Sam, help me. I've got to do this before I get there. I'm walking into town with Evie to try to get some Pokemon cards from Max, and we're talking about...
Oh my god, the Pokemon card. Oh god, we had some problems with Pokemon cards this week, right? Anyone collecting, this won't mean anything to most of you, but if any of you are trying to get hold of Prismatic Evolutions, we had a challenge with them this weekend. Oh my god.
I got him some. He's very happy with me.
You managed to get them. That's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason I captained Isak and didn't realise it was in the lunchtime kickoff, but never mind.
Okay, Pokemon cards.
Because I didn't... It was so... Because when did the shop open? 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Oh yeah, so you were standing outside waiting to get the...
I didn't notice
the cards,
and I didn't.
And
I didn't check,
right.
and I only moved the captain.
You can blame Pokemon then.
I only moved the captain from Wood to Isak just before I set off on the walk, and I hadn't looked at the fixture
you
list.
can blame Pikachu.
Didn't know what the early kickoff was. Now blame Eevee. It's an evolution, so blame Eevee. The Pokemon, not our child. Where was I going with this?
I've absolutely
Arsenal.
no
idea. So I was going to move Raya to Sells. And then I thought, do you know what? It's Arsenal at home. I think they can clean sheet against a Villa team that are a bit hit and miss right now. Like sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So I think I'll just hold it, and then I'll have 2 transfers going into Gameweek 23. It feels valuable, and I'll fix Arsenal then. Fine. And up until 60 minutes or so, it was going all right.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
fine.
all right, well, this was fine because, all right, Sales might keep a clean sheet against Southampton. In the end, he didn't. But it was going okay. And then when Villa scored, I was like...
Nice goal, Tielemans. Nice goal.
It
very
was
un-Tielemans-like goal. Diving header. Very good.
It was. But it's still infuriating. When you've got the double defence for any team, they have to be an elite defence. And last season, the Gunners were. They were an elite defence, and you just had to have 2. You couldn't just have 1. It punished you when you didn't. But this season, and I get it, so I think their win ratio is down to something like 41% now when Gabriel or Saliba is missing. And obviously we didn't know Saliba was going to be missing in this one, but he was. And I do worry that when they don't have that stability in front of... with those 2, that they're just not quite as good. I think having 1 is enough.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what I put it down to. The fact that there is definitely a little bit of Saliba and Gabriel together are elite, no doubt about it. But what's in front of them? What's Thomas Partey doing for the Watkins goal? I mean, I know Watkins is a good striker. His movement's great, but it just leaves him Partey.
Yeah, but
Partey's playing at.
But Partey's there because Saliba's not there. Because Timber should be where Partey is. So if Timber's there, I think Timber's dealing with that better. But Timber's having to be where Saliba is, which means Partey is in the wrong place. The whole team is unbalanced. It's unbalanced because of Saka as well. I sound like I'm standing up for Arsenal, and I don't mean to. But I do think that the team is just not quite... It's not quite right at the moment. It's unbalanced. They're missing a few key players, and missing Saliba is really important. And I think from an FPL perspective... I would really like to sell one of my Arsenal players and just have 1. And I would really, really like to get rid of Raya. But I just...
We've got other things to do, haven't we? This is the problem.
I've got a serious knee injury for Solanke that I've got to deal with. It's not a segue, by the way. But I've got that I've got to deal with. So there's always these, there's always these other things that come up that mean that prioritising selling an Arsenal defender who's fit and can play isn't really it. But I certainly don't like Timber so much playing in Saliba's position.
Yeah. All right. And then the Aston Villa fixtures for the next few, at least, look pretty good. West Ham at home, Wolves away, Ipswich at home before it starts getting a bit trickier. Any short-term interest in Villa?
I've got Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's enough.
I'm exactly the same position. In fact, when I was setting my bus team for next week, I thought, West Ham at home for Rodgers. Yeah, get in my team. Yeah. He'll be useful for us for next 3 weeks or so, and then we may ask a question of him. Let's see. But up until that point... All good, Sam, I think. All good. Right. Go on then.
I don't have anything to say.
Everton 3, Spurs 2. What are we saying? What are we saying?
I actually don't know what to say anymore because, so now we've got... It sounds like I'm being over dramatic probably when I say this.
I don't think you can be over dramatic about the situation at Spurs at the moment.
But Vicario, Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, Bentancur. That's fine. So well, yeah, but defensively, that's really important, right? Those 5 missing.
Yeah.
Ben Davies came back today. That's helpful, but comes back. He's not clearly fully ready to go.
But he's kind of got to get on with it.
Sorry, Ben, off you pop, because he's got to put Archie Gray in the middle because we've got so many other problems. But all of that aside, if you just said to me a month ago, 6 weeks ago, however long, even yesterday before the news, who's the only player Spurs can't do without? Dom Solanke would have been my answer. Because he is the player that enables the press.
We say it every week, don't we? Sets the tone, doesn't he?
He sets the tone. He enables the press. He works so hard. And that doesn't mean that he's been brilliant in FPL. But from a Spurs perspective, he's been so important. Brennan Johnson today as well. Timo Werner. So suddenly we've got a position where Maddison, who's clearly not quite right, has to play and start. We've got Son having to play in the forward line because he can't start Richarlison because he's not fully match fit and he's just coming back from a hamstring injury and he can't start the game.
But in Angie's defence, and I rarely will jump to Angie's defence, but I will on this occasion. A few weeks ago, he said, right, window's open, Levy. We've got if Solanke gets injured, we've got a problem. So please go and get me a striker.
Yeah, which we are working on. And we've been in for a guy for a while. And we've been trying. They have been negotiating, but it's not happened yet. And I don't know whether the Solanke injury will make that happen or not. It needs to.
Richarlison back's positive.
Richarlison back is positive, but like Ben Davies, you cannot expect these players to come back and then immediately play 90 minutes. They've got to be eased back in. They've got to get minutes in their legs. They've got to get match fitness. They've got to be protected from re-injuring themselves. But the problem is that we can't do that because there's so many players that are injured now. Leave that all aside because that's just Spurs stuff. What does it mean for FPL? Well, for me, Dom Solanke becomes a really easy sell, and I think if you've got Solanke, I think he's an easy out.
What do your fixtures look like? I remember sitting here a couple of weeks ago and saying you had a couple of difficult away games.
We've got Leicester at home next, so you would. I was really thinking Solanke, Leicester at home. Like I've got Mum's tickets for that because obviously she's not around at the moment. And I was thinking, that's going to be great. Like, I can take Evie to Leicester at home. We can have a really nice day out. I can watch Solanke do the business and it's going to be great. Now, I don't know how I feel about even going to that game at the moment because we've got so many issues and so many injuries.
But then Brentford away in 24 in the same week that you've got to play the second leg against us, right?
And we don't, but the thing is, we don't have a squad to rotate. So we can't go.
That's a very difficult game now, going to the G-Tech on the back of that.
We've got 2 problems that week because one, we can't afford to rotate in the league because we're 14th and we have to win games because otherwise we're going to get dragged backwards rather than climbing. And we have to climb away from the relegation zone, which is a ridiculous comment to make given where we were after like 6 games of the season when we were playing well and we had everyone fully fit and available. But we have to be realistic and we have to start winning games. But we can't win games if we don't have any players. So we can't rotate anyone against Brentford. We have to go full strength. And then we go from that game into the biggest game of our season so far, the game against Liverpool, away.
Is the Brentford game before the Liverpool game in the Cup? Or after?
No, sorry, it's the other way around.
Yeah, you've got to play us first. And then you've got to turn up at the G-Tech, knackered after playing us, potentially.
So the Leicester game at the weekend is potentially, I guess we could potentially do a little bit.
The way they're playing, you've got to beat them. That becomes must win, I think, for Ange.
Well, yeah. Well, no. See, the thing is, I don't think it is.
Leicester at home.
I think it's must win in terms of we must win it, but I don't think it's must win for Ange. I don't think he's going to get sacked on the back of it because genuinely. Okay, so if people in the Slack today were winding me up because they do it deliberately. They do it deliberately. Danny McDonald. They come in and they go, oh, surely he's going to get sacked. And then even Sam started. He was like, oh, it's a sackable offence. And I was like, okay, let's be realistic for a minute. You take Ange out. Who are you putting in, and what do you expect them to do differently or better with what they are going to be faced with? There's nothing Ange can do at the moment other than keep going. Keep working on things with the players that he has available to him. The whole thing's a nightmare. In FPL, if you've got Solanke, he's an easy sell. Go to Mateta. If you're not trebled up on Liverpool and you want to go Gakpo, absolutely fine. I have no issues with either of them. If you want to come down because you want to save money to go somewhere else, also fine with that. If you've got Kulusevski, I probably would just hold because he's going to play every game. He has to. We've got no choice. And he's the one that's regularly returning. I think if you've got Son, somebody asked me, I think it was Aaron, who said to me today, is there any value in Son right now, given the injuries that we have and the fact that he's going to start in number 9? I think the answer to that question was made he did ask me before the game today, to be fair. That I think the answer to that became abundantly clear. Son does not work in the number 9. We had to deal with that for a lot of last season. It does not work. It hasn't worked. That's why in pre-season this year we played Kulu there. But the part of the issue is that we've got so many other injuries going around that it was kind of a no-win.
So who are you picking in FPL?
Nobody. But if you've got Kulu, I would still probably hold him. But everyone else, I think you sell.
All right. Well, that was a good 5 minutes on a team that we're going absolutely nowhere near
Yeah,
in
but
FPL.
People have turned up to see how annoyed I am.
Yeah.
So I had to give them a
No,
review.
totally. No,
Now
totally.
I'm going to eat some more chocolate.
Yeah, all right. I won't give an opinion on Spurs. Not allowed one. Everton, though.
Are you going to invest in Everton for the double?
Probably not. But I've gone from absolutely not to probably not.
Don't let
The Spurs game
no.
sidetrack you. The only one, and I'm not going to go and get Calvert-Lewin, and anyone that thinks he's a good asset for the double.
Are you taking the mick?
I don't think so. But I do like Ndiaye. And I do think him coming off the left-hand side and joining Calvert-Lewin alongside him will benefit them both in the longer term if they can get that dynamic going. And it's a big if, right? And again, we should remind ourselves of the Everton fixtures. It's Brighton away. Now, Brighton are coming off the back of, I think, 3 wins now in a row, isn't it? And then the double game week, all right, it's Leicester at home, but then it is Liverpool. Last Goodison derby day, yeah, there's a bit of narrative there, isn't there? Palace away, well, that's very difficult. United at home, okay, who knows what's going to happen in that batshit crazy game. And then again at the G-Tech in 27. So I'm not, with the spots that I've got in my midfield, given that Salah and Palmer and probably Rodgers, given what we said before, are going nowhere, and I've got Gordon who's got Southampton, I don't think I've got any space for Ndiaye.
And I also think
think
that, so people will say, what about Mikalenko? What about Ashley Young? What about Pickford? The reality is, I look
Pickford if you want, but...
Yeah, but the reality is, Lee, I look at the double game week, and I don't think that either of them, either of those two matches are clean sheets. The only thing that Pickford is useful for is game week 29.
Oh, is he a forward, Ndiaye? I didn't know that for his midfielder.
He's only helpful for game.
That's how much I've bothered looking at him.
He's helpful for game week 29, depending upon who your goalkeeper is. Like if you've got Raya and not a good backup, then moving to Pickford is not terrible for that. But I just don't think he keeps any clean sheets across the double game week. So I'm not really... Everton not going to be a big priority. I can't see me having one for the double. I don't think we should let what happened today make us think that Everton are good.
That seems like a good comment to end on. A couple more of these games, Sam, to rattle through. Newcastle 1, Bournemouth 4. Cast your mind back to lunchtime on Saturday.
Did this surprise you?
Yeah, absolutely,
And,
yeah.
I don't mean that in a rude way to Bournemouth, because Bournemouth are good, right? So I wasn't expecting Bournemouth to smash Newcastle at St James's. Newcastle, these teams have both been good. I was expecting something.
Newcastle have been sensational, never mind
Yeah,
good.
I was expecting this game to be a lot more.
How did they win it then, Bournemouth? What happened? I think Iraola got his tactics absolutely spot on.
Well, he is an outstanding manager. He's been the best one to go to in the assistant managership, by the way.
And I'll tell you the one thing that I thought they did better than any other team that Newcastle have won on this run that they've been on. And Newcastle, Eddie Howe, tactically very good, so we've got some really good players, but they are bullies, right? Yeah. They've got Joe Linton in there. I remember the elbow in the back of Bergval's head that went unpunished by VAR, which I still can't get my head round. They've got Tonali in there, who's I was going to call him a mini Gattuso. I can't really do that, but he's got that sort of feel about him. And then you've got who's the other lad in the middle there? You've got Bruno Guimaraes, haven't you? And then Tonali. That's the three, isn't it? And then Joe Linton, right? So, and they're powerful. They're a powerful team. And even if you get past them three, you're coming up against Byrne and Shah and basically a brick wall. You're like, Jesus Christ, these lads are big. They're just such a powerful team. And Bournemouth went into this game and were just like, we don't care. We're going to put ourselves about a bit. And they were as physical with Newcastle, as Newcastle have been in the last few weeks with other teams, and got away with it. But I thought they were brilliant, Bournemouth.
Well, they made Trippier look terrible, and particularly for that last goal.
Well, yeah, but
He
Trippier didn't.
absolutely does him,
Yeah.
doesn't he, down that side? Yeah, I was surprised. I have Lewis Hall and Isak, and obviously I had captained Isak, which was the wrong thing to do. I'm just an idiot. But Lewis Hall, again, picks up some points, gets an assist. Lovely, thanks, Lewis. But losing 4 goals is not what I was anticipating from him. In my head, that game was going to be a really big return. And I think if you've got... Like, if you've doubled up, like I know you have, on Isak and Gordon or Isak and Murphy or however you've done it,
Yeah.
this game would have been a real frustration because it was just very unexpected for Newcastle to perform like this.
But Southampton up next. Look, listen, I'll keep all 3 of them, and I'll probably play all 3 of them. But
100%.
I do want to talk about Bournemouth though, because there is a few assets there going under the radar, and if you didn't buy into my they were overly physical or more physical than they usually are, Bournemouth, there's 6 yellow cards there that proves my point, I think. Let's talk about Kluivert then, because he's going to get a run in the team now, right? And I got my Ndiaye's wrong there because I thought he was a midfielder, but he's actually a forward in the game. Kluivert's the opposite, isn't he? He's a 5.5 midfielder.
He's a midfielder, yeah.
So he's definitely going to get some love, I think, over the next few. And when you look at the Bournemouth fixtures, they look really, really good. Obviously, I think you don't need to go steaming in with Forest and Liverpool up next. That's 2 pretty good defences, although they are both at home. I don't know whether Bournemouth's high pressing style might suit us, actually. I don't say I fancy us against going to the Vitality, but I think we might do well there.
Didn't suit Spurs or Arsenal.
But I think that's a really difficult game for Forest. But then from 25, Southampton, Wolves, Brighton and Spurs. Oh yeah, you're going to want a bit of Kluivert in there, or a bit of Kirkes, aren't you? Or
probably both.
Or who else might you have a look at? Semenyo as well, of course, yeah. Kluivert's the one, though. It's the pens that tip it, isn't it?
Yeah,
a 5.5
and it's cheaper than Semenyo.
Out of position midfielder on pens, in form, team in form, and good fixtures in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
But
I can see me doing Enzo to Kluivert quite easily.
But I think what you said at the beginning of this is right. I think he especially becomes an option post double game week. I think for the next couple of weeks, the focus has got to be on what is your team looking like for 24. And also, ahead of 24, we're going to know where we are in terms of... actually, halfway through 24, we're going to know where we are in terms of the blanks, because, like, which teams is it that are going to blank in game week 29? Because it could very easily be Crystal Palace that we lose, as well as, and then obviously that'll mean more people moving from Eze or from Sarr or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kluivert, definitely on my radar. He's kind of, but not a priority transfer in at the moment.
No, and there's others that caught the eye, but I don't think we're ever going to have him in FPL. I thought David Brooks was great. Yeah. Especially when you consider what he's been through. What a guy to come back in performances like that.
Was actually unlucky to not get an attacking return. Probably.
Yeah, and Kirkes, the way he took his goal, and then he's like rips his shirt off at the end, doesn't he? Gets his abs out. I mean, I was looking at him thinking, yeah, would not mind a little bit of you at Anfield, mate. I've him and Robinson.
That's what you were going to say then. Get his abs out.
Sorry,
I was like, where is this going to go?
We need a decent fullback on that side, and maybe he's one we'll have a look at.
Robinson.
I want him as well. I think they're all good.
You can't have everyone.
They're all good, Sam. They're all good. Anything else to discuss, Sam? Anything else to discuss?
No, I think we can
probably move on, can't we? Chelsea and Wolves still to come on Monday night, of course. So those of you with Palmer captain, has still potentially got some points there. He's at about 106% EO for me.
Who is?
Palmer. So I actually don't want him to do anything, which is weird.
But I do want him to play and block people's benches.
Yeah, true enough. Just before we move on, a quick shout out to our friends at... Where's my sleeper PickEm promo? There it is.
How are you getting on?
A quick shout out to our friends at Sleeper. So you can go and download the Sleeper app at Sleeper Footy, or you can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store and just search for Sleeper, and you will find their app. Several things you can do in the app. It's fantastic if you like your American football or your American fantasy sports. But this season, the guys at Sleeper and their app are getting more and more into the Premier League. So if you want to play our Pick'em game, and we can't announce a Pick'em winner today because, of course, we've got Chelsea versus Wolves still to go. How are you getting on so far?
Well, I just looked not very well. I've got 4.
4? Can I beat you? Can I beat the 4? Let's have a look. I don't think I can, to be honest with you.
Forest, City, Liverpool and Fulham were the only ones I got right.
1, 2, 3. Also 4 for me.
Probably the same 4.
What did I go for? Liverpool win.
Yeah.
I went
Fulham
for Arsenal Villa draw.
Me too. Didn't get that.
I
didn't go for a draw. I put Arsenal to win.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah. I went City win.
Yeah, me too.
Forest win.
Oh, I correctly predicted the Fulham Leicester game.
What was Fulham Leicester in the end? What was that? What did I say for that?
Fulham won 2-0. I'm surprised.
2-0. No, I went for the draw.
What?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you predict that Leicester would get something?
I just fancied at some stage the Foxes have got to turn it round.
Well, are you mad?
Appears so now. Yeah, appears so now.
You're a madness.
I also went for a draw in the Spurs game. It also sounds mad, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, I went for a Spurs win because
of course you did.
You have to.
Of course you did.
I always go for a Spurs win.
So if you want the chance to win $100 worth of Amazon vouchers every week, you can get into the Sleeper Footy app. Join our PickEm League. There's links in the description below. And yeah, just cost free. There's no signing up. There's no crypto. There's no betting. There's none of that nonsense. It's just completely free to play. You haven't even got to guess the scores. You just got to guess the outcomes. And usually, if you get 9 or 10 correct outcomes out of 10 of a week, pretty good chance of winning in our Pick'em League. Pretty good chance of winning. And of course, the draft.
You can get a hospitality tickets for 2 if you.
There's that as well. Yeah, absolutely that as well. Draft of Legends. Did we win this week?
Well, it's not over yet.
All right. Who are we up against?
We're up against Andy.
Let's talk.
All
right, good. We've had a bit of a run lately, haven't we?
Well, we were on a really, really great run, like 5 on the bounce, and then we lost to Mate last week. But he was blimmin' lucky.
He had Foden, didn't he?
He just had all these weird players that nobody wants, but they all returned. So he was lucky. But Andy, we're beating Andy at the moment, but we're all out, and Andy's got 2 Chelsea players to come tomorrow. So big Wolves win.
Right, we're ahead of him right now.
We're winning, and we're predicted to win. But he's got Sanchez.
We need Wolves to win.
So we definitely need Wolves to score. We don't necessarily need them to win. We just need them to score and take Sanchez's clean sheet. Right. And we need Madueke to do nothing because he is Andy's. So what I might do tomorrow.
God.
If Madueke, and don't tell Andy this, if Madueke isn't playing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sabotage, and I'm going to take any player on waiver that is potentially starting in that game that's not already picked up to block Andy from getting them, to put them in instead of Madueke. That's my strategy.
This is how we work in the Draft of Legends.
It's all
very sneaky. It's all very.
No, it's
you
just,
think all of us
good gameplay.
You think all us content creators get on well? I'll tell you what. In the Draft of Legends, bless you. In the Draft of Legends, it's dog eat dog. Isn't it?
It's money for charity, and I really want to send the Harry Kane Foundation some money.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, Andy, I will try and sabotage you if I have to.
There we go. So there we go. At Sleeper Footy is where you can find the app, or you can go and join our Pick'em League in one of the links in the description below. Sam, so much guff and waffle today. Let's get on with our teams. I'll do me first. So this is my team. 49 this week so far with Palmer to play. But as I suggested before, 109% EO. I am kind of crossing my fingers that he stays quiet, to be honest with you. 1,393 points altogether. Overrank up to 292k. Had a really good December, as you guys know. And then the first couple of weeks in January, not so good. Not so good at all. Missed out on the Isak captaincy last week. Went with Salah, didn't I? Mm-hmm. And it hasn't been good. So I went from about 120 down to about 370. But I've gone up a little bit this week, up 11% to 292. So really, it was Trent. Trent was the difference, really. I mean, I did Gabriel Jesus to Wood. So I'm glad that I did that. That was I was planning to roll. I think I was planning to roll, but I was like, I can't in good faith go into Wood playing Southampton and knowing that because his ownership's creeping up. I had a look at him, and when he scored and assisted in that game, I'm thinking, oh, that's a good transfer in. 80% EO?
Yeah, it's not making much
Barely
sense.
Made a dent.
No.
So I'm like, okay, well, it saved me a red arrow at least. So the João Pedro one that got ruled out for VAR, that would have made a difference to me. So that was a shame. Gordon had one off the line. That would have made a difference. The double Arsenal clean sheet clearly would have made a difference, but they didn't deserve it in the end. So, yeah, I mean, captaincy, I never really considered it in Chris Wood. I know that you were heavily considering it, but I never really considered that. So really, I was all about Mo, and I did consider Isak as well. That was really the only two that I was considering, but I was on Mo for most of the time, as I will be now for the next 3 months, and I think most FPL managers will be, right? So 49 points. It's not the end of it. It's kind of okay. It's kind of fine. It's not an amazing game week, but it's certainly not a disaster. Unless Palmer goes big, and then it might be a little bit of a red, but we'll see. We'll see. The Munoz benching is obviously a little bit disappointing as well. In terms of transfers for next week, I can do João Pedro to Mateta for free. I think I can do João Pedro to Gakpo for free as well. Who knows? I might do Enzo to Kluivert and do a complete curveball. I don't know. But there are, as I said at the beginning of the pod or the beginning of the show, that's why I'm almost certainly not going to play the wild card. But when I think about who I actually want in this team and the changes that I want to make, I don't really like my team at the minute. I could wild card it.
Okay.
I don't want double Arsenal defence, as we discussed before. I want Mateta. I want Kluivert in there instead of Enzo. There's a few things I'd like to do, but it's I step back from it and I go, look, Newcastle got Southampton next week. I'm on treble Newcastle. I think Liverpool game looks good. I've probably got to get my third Liverpool in there lined up somehow. Palmer's obviously going to go nowhere. Wood's only just come in, so yeah, it's definitely it doesn't need a wild card, right? But there's just a few differentials out there that I really want, and I think that's going to be the definition of success for me over the next few weeks is which of those differentials I go to and how I play the game. I think it's going to be Mateta, but listen, we'll talk about that probably in an Ohana or an upcoming live stream. Before we get into your team, Sam, a quick super chat from Davis Family. Thank you, Davis Family, for the super chat. Davis Family has 4 free transfers, Sam. 4 free transfers. Haaland and Johnson, so I think that's Brennan, to Gakpo and Trent. Haaland and Johnson to Gakpo and Trent. Is it Ben Johnson?
Must
probably
be,
isn't. Can't be Brennan, can it?
Defender.
So there's that potentially. So loading up on a double of Liverpool there, or do Ahmad to Gordon? God, how fickle we are on Ahmad. He was flavour of the month 2 days ago. Or Ahmad to Gordon and roll 2 free transfers. We'll then need to bench one of Sarr, Rogers, Wood, and Gordon. So do you like the getting in heavily on the Liverpool, Gakpo, and Trent, or do you like the Ahmad to Gordon and get on Newcastle? I think with the double game week coming up, you'd go for the Liverpool players, no?
I think so.
I think you sort of go in the Liverpool players. Yeah. I think, and then would need to bench one of Sarr, Rogers, Wood, or Gordon. Well, that's by the sounds of it only if you did the Ahmad to Gordon thing, Davis Family.
You could bench our Ahmad.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is probably start to load up on Liverpool, given that the double game week's coming and the fixtures look pretty good. So I think therein lies the answer. Let's talk about your team, Sam. I got 49 this week. You also got 49 this week. How'd it go?
I'm so annoyed with myself for the Chris Wood thing. I moved it on Saturday morning. I should just have left it alone. Because I bought a Langer in, I felt like I didn't want to be really over the top invested in Nottingham Forest. Alanga assists the goal that gets ruled out from Milenkovic, so it's very frustrating not to get an assist for him.
By the way, that's a goal.
Yes, a goal.
I'm not having that. How's that been ruled out?
I don't know. And
Nonsense
it's
stuff.
an assist. And when you've got a lowly owned player like Alanga in your team, that is huge in terms of the points. And when I saw it pop up as an Alanga assist, I was like, you beautiful man. That is going to make such a difference. I should have left the captain's armband on Chris Wood. I'd have been absolutely laughing had I done that. But it is what it is. I got lucky with the Trent benching.
Can we just talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Benching Trent.
Yeah. So.
And by the way, you're going to get the points because Solanke's got a phantom injury that no one knew about. So you have absolutely jammed 11 points off the bench there. Yeah. I cannot believe it.
Yeah.
That deserved to be punished, that decision. Benching Trent.
Yeah.
It didn't it? I mean, come on, that's mad. It's mad and you've got away with it.
So I don't disagree with anything you've just said. It is very, very jammy. It's very lucky. My defence for it was this. So going into the Saturday, going into the deadline, I was torn. Like the benching Trent felt all kinds of wrong. It felt all kinds of wrong. But the part of it, so I had to bench one of my premium defenders. So I was either benching Timber or I was benching Trent. And for most of the week, I'd had Timber on the bench and I'd played Trent.
You played double Arsenal defence over Trent.
And I did it because of Brentford.
Oh, God.
Because I thought Aston Villa are so hit and miss that they could easily go to the Emirates and do absolutely jackal. And it could be 2-0 Arsenal, 1-0 Arsenal. Like, in my head, that was how that game was going to play. I just didn't think. And maybe they would have played like that had Saliba been there. Again, maybe it's a circumstances thing. Whereas I looked at the Liverpool game and thought, I can't see how Brentford are so good at home in terms of the goals that they score. I just did not see a clean sheet for Liverpool in that game. I thought you'd win the game. I just didn't see you clean sheeting in it. Hence why I did it, because I thought I'd get a double clean sheet out of my.
Can't bench Trent though, man.
So I benched him, and then Solanke got injured, and I had a almighty strop yesterday because I posted the Solanke news on Instagram, and everyone kept messaging me, "Oh yeah, but at least you'll get Trent off the bench." I was like, "Not the time. It's not the time to say that to me because I'm very upset about my club."
You weren't that upset.
Leo,
Nah, don't give me
taking the
upset.
piss?
Come on.
have you seen how upset I've been today?
Oh, Solanke injured. That's a shame. I've got to count my 11 boys off the bench. No, please. No, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. No Spurs opinions here. Not allowed any Spurs opinions.
This will be our last FPL Family live stream because at the end of this
It's
stream,
a
Lee's
silver
getting thrown out.
silver lining on the cloud, though. No,
No, it's not.
Trent 11 points on the bench. Absolutely
It's not on
insane.
the bench, though, is it?
Injustice, as
Coming
it's
on
being
the
said
pitch.
in the chat.
So,
Injustice.
I got 49. It should have been. Well, I should
38.
have. Shut up. I should have captained Wood. Had I captained Wood, life would have been so much better. Had Alanga's perfectly good assist stood, even better again.
Didn't do much in the game. Talk me through the Alanga in transfer. I know it's Southampton and all the rest of
I
it. But...
had Ismail Assar,
yeah.
who was a doubt, and I felt like I didn't. To be honest, I felt like I needed an excuse to sell Ismail Assar.
Mm.
And so when he was flagged, I was like, this is the moment. Because he was going to be a player, and I knew it, that I would hold on to because I keep looking at the fixtures and going, I can't sell him for that one. I can't sell him for that one. And I knew I'd made a mistake almost straight away. I should have gone for Eze if I was going for a midfielder. So last week, going into this, when he was flagged, it was an opportunity. Alanga felt like a great one. He was on 6 returns in a row, 45 points in 6 game weeks.
He had been good
He
form,
was
yeah.
in great form. Forest were playing a Southampton side who I thought they'd exploit because they're really good in attack, and they did. And he was unlucky not to get something. And I also felt that he was also he would be a good rotating bench option amongst my 8 attackers. Because somebody's always got to be benched.
That's like hauling him off early, didn't he? Did it again today. Got
But
early
that's
sub.
okay.
No, not really.
It is okay because he should have already had an assist. He got it absolutely done, but when it was taken away, it's whatever. But he should have been an assist.
What's the plan going forward then? Because
Solanke to Mateta.
Forest's fixtures are tricky. You're going to keep Alanga for foreseeable?
Yeah, because he'll be on the bench this week.
Right, okay.
So Solanke to Mateta.
And not Trent. You're going to play Trent this week?
I might bench Trent again. No, I'll play Trent this week. I will play Trent this week.
Oh,
my bus team. Would you like to know who it is?
Go on then, yeah.
So my bus
But
team.
Solanke to Mateta is... I mean, that's
Solanke
got
to
to
Mateta,
happen, innit?
that's happening.
Got to happen.
I'm gonna play Rodgers, so I'm gonna bench Alanga.
You're going to bend. Yeah, play Rodgers.
So So it'll be Raya in goal, and then Hall, Robinson.
Timber again?
So this is another reason why
You just don't like playing 4 at the back, do you?
Well, okay, I'm happy to play 4 at the back, except who do you bench then? Rodgers? No, not at home to West Ham.
No.
Luis Diaz? No. Man City for Palmer? I can't have Palmer on the bench. I mean,
You bench Trent, why not bench Palmer?
I'll behave. Mo Salah? I'll bench him, shall I?
Yeah, bench Salah, whatever.
It should have been Solanke at home to Leicester, but now it's
2 blanks for Mo now. Get rid of him.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, get
It was going to be Solanke against Leicester, but obviously now it'll be Mateta. Isak at Southampton, and then Wood against Bournemouth.
Bench Wood, wouldn't you?
Over Timber.
Yeah.
You'd play the double Arsenal defence who don't keep a clean sheet for love nor money.
Who are Arsenal playing? I forgot.
Wolves.
What, at home?
Away.
Yeah, difficult. You got to play Wood, haven't you?
I've got Raya. I'm just going to play Wood. I'm going to bench Timber. Because particularly if Saliba's still out and Timber's going to be playing at centre-back, I like him less there. It's different if it's Gabriel.
Yeah. I've often thought that, actually. It's much harder when you're on the double Arsenal defence, which I don't want to be on, but I'm there, so we've got to deal with it. It is a lot harder to bench Gabriel than it is Timber.
Massively.
Because he's just a threat, isn't he?
Threat from
He's just
set
such a
pieces.
threat.
Whereas Timber, defensive, like when he plays at centre back, he loses most of his threat, which comes from open play. Although they don't score a lot of goals from open play.
Yeah, true enough. Well, there we go. 49 points, up to 654k. Solanke to Mateta feels like a very, very easy transfer.
I could do that now, but then what happens if someone gets injured in Europe?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I can do João Pedro to Mateta, and I might not do it because he's got Everton at home, and also I will be waiting. I'll be waiting because I've got maybe 0.1, 0.2 that I can play with, so I'm probably okay with that. But unlike you, I haven't got the free Liverpool in play, right? So, maybe I need to be looking more at Gakpo than I am looking at Mateta. But for sure, I won't be benching Trent. You have got absolutely jammy there, like you would not believe. Another bit of jam here for Sam at FPL Family.
Wait, hang on. What do you mean another bit of jam?
Well, we're coming into that.
What are you talking about?
We're just coming into that time of the year, aren't we? That time of the year when the jam starts flowing. You benching Trent. That is such an outrageous decision that it deserved to be punished. And Solanke gets injured after the deadline. Like there was nothing pre-deadline. So you could maybe manage that situation.
Injury on a Saturday morning.
Oh, but just like that.
Rolls around in agony.
It's just unreal, isn't it? It's unreal that. 11 points that. Oh, goodness me. So in the end, 49 points, same as me, but it should have been 38. It should have been 38.
Oh, you are asking.
Although saying that, if Solanke hadn't got injured, you'd back him to do all right against Everton. Maybe Spurs may be looking a bit different. Because you are going to miss him, I think. You are going to miss him, no doubt.
It's a disaster.
It's not good for Spurs, is it? Not good. Leicester at home next week, though. Keep the faith. Keep the faith.
I'm not sure you're going to see Lee again. I think this might be the end of him.
Come on. I've not said much about Spurs.
It's not about Spurs. I can't believe you sat here and said this jammy for you again. When have I had any jam?
Right, we've been doing this for 8 years.
No, this season. When have I had any jam this season?
That's quite a big bit, isn't it? That's a dollop.
All right, once this season I've had some luck. Once.
Tell everyone what's coming up this week, Sam.
We're getting divorced.
Christopher said it's been a good run, Lee. Don't worry.
It's been 20 years. I've had to deal with 20 years of
Look
this.
at the body language, like arms folded. No, you got a bunch of jam there. Look. Know it. Absolutely know it.
You are.
Kingdom FC, maybe $2. Oh, definitely $2. Go on. Can we stop talking about jam? I want a donut now.
Well, I'd like a donut. Who's mentioned donuts? I'd like one of them. What we're doing this week, we are going to some marriage counselling to talk about our FPL problems. In all seriousness, on Tuesday morning, I'm so excited because I have missed my off the bench partner so much.
Who are you doing off the bench
I
with?
have had all sorts of other people standing in for me, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. But
you haven't got... Go on.
I've got Sonaldo back with me.
Yes, Sonaldo, the return of the legend, the man, the myth.
I'm so excited. We've not done one together for ages because Sonaldo is my off the bench partner, and he's missed the last few for various things. So I've done them with Az and other people and Harry, and I've done one with Oscar, and it's been lovely. But Andy is my partner in crime, and I'm so excited to have him back. So Andy and I will be off the benching to talk about the disaster that is Spurs on Tuesday morning.
He's Spurs as well, isn't it? That'll be fun, that podcast.
So
Can't
that
look
might be
forward
a
to
bit,
that.
at least no one will wind us up deliberately and talk about how jammy we are or,
Well, it just so happens a lot of the FPL pods, my favourite FPL pods that I listen to in the week, there's a lot of Spurs fans that I love listening to, the boys above average. So Adam and Baker, keen to hear your thoughts on Spurs. I love listening to James on Planet FPL. I'm sure he's got a thing or two to say about Spurs. So we'll get some Spurs insight this week from the content creators, no doubt.
So Andy and I will be off the benching together on Tuesday morning, and then on Thursday afternoon I'll be back with Az, where I'm sure he's going to have some things to say about Ahmad and the hat-trick from midweek, because he won't let me forget that, because he went above me in midweek. I don't know how he's done actually at the weekend. I might have to have a little look and see if I've gone back above him or not.
I'll tell you why you continue on the coming scenes.
I don't think I will, because I don't think I will. If I'd have captained Chris Wood, I think I would. But anyway.
He's on 35 this week.
Oh, I might have. Oh, no, because Ahmed went mad, didn't he? Ahmad went mad.
Yeah, you've only beaten him by... Well, no, you haven't got 30. You've got 49, actually. So you will have beaten him by quite a few. Let's see if he's got any jam on the bench.
He hasn't got Solanke, so he probably hasn't had anyone miss out.
He's got Hall first sub. He has got Solanke.
Has he?
So Solanke will be coming
for
he'll
Hall.
be coming out and he'll get Hall's 4 points. But he's only got Palmer to go, so you'll beat him this week. But,
Okay, well, so it might
yeah.
be tight. So anyway,
It's
as and
quite
I will be
tight.
Q&A on Thursday afternoon, we may or may not have some drama together trying to work out who's ahead of who. And
Jules
then
Laurent captained Isak as well.
the whole pod team did. We all...
And Kelly Summers did as well.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you three? You're
I
like
don't
a little echo chamber, you three, aren't you?
The best thing about this is that none of us discussed it, because I said I'm captaining Wood. They both said they were captaining Salah, I think.
They listen to you on that pod, and they
didn't
just
say-
follow
I said
you,
I was
don't they?
captaining Wood, and then suddenly all three of us are on Isak. And then on Friday morning, I'm doing the fantasy show. So I'll be back with Kelly again on Friday, and obviously the main pod will be back on Thursday. So I've got a very busy week coming up this week. And we'll be doing our Patreon Ohana podcast on Thursday evening.
Yes.
So it's going to be hectic.
I'll be speaking to a man on Friday. We've got a Patreon call with one of our Zoom tier patrons. So looking forward to that, Aman.
Actually, that reminds me, I've got to get back to George. George wants to do a Patreon call with me. I don't know why he wants to talk to me, probably just to wind me up.
yeah, you might want to make that a short one.
I'm very busy, George. No, I think
very busy, George.
I think he actually said, Sam, can we do this call after Brentford play Spurs? Oh, I wonder why. Do you want to talk to Lee instead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can have a chat this week, George.
I might be... No,
Definitely can have a chat
this
this
week.
Oh.
He wants to do it after Brentford play Spurs. I think so he can wind me up.
I'd quite like to do it this week. I've got a lot to say about
You just
Liverpool.
want to have a
Brentford.
chat with George?
Yeah.
Don't wind him up.
What? I did the thumbnail for this video with Darwin Núñez specifically for George.
Did you actually put Darwin
Yes,
on
I've got Darwin on the thumbnail.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, no one's watching this, because no one's going to look at a thumbnail of Darwin and go, I must watch that video then.
Well, Sam, you'll be surprised, 533 of you in, so thank you very much for joining us here on FPL Family tonight. Leave us a like before you go, hit subscribe if you're new around here. Podcasters, thank you for listening in for the podcast, but in particular, YouTubers, thank you for dealing with the first 10 minutes or waiting around for us for the first 10 minutes while we reset microphones and we got everything else sorted out. Podcasters, you didn't have to deal with any of that, so you missed out on all that guff and just you had to deal with the rustle of the chocolate. But no, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.